Bamboo or bamboozled. The truth about merino bamboo yarns. When I first discovered Wolhobby, I was poking around on their website to see what kind of yarns they had available. And I was delighted when I discovered that they had a bamboo blend. I've always wanted to try bamboo, so naturally I jumped at the chance. My original idea was actually to use it for an upcoming summer top, which I'm calling the Arlino. More on that later. But because I've been struggling with the construction of the Arlino top, if you've been following my journey you might know, I decided to take the opportunity to knit it out, sample two, in a different summer fibre. But when my order arrived, I realized I actually had enough yarn to make not one but two projects. So I decided to park some of that yarn off for the Arlino top and use this one, this particular color, for a second sample of the Arlino top. Because why? Because I had been struggling with the construction to get this beautiful drape going on, and I needed to knit it out again. I'd already heard so much about merino blends, but despite that, I'd never actually worked with it. I'd already heard that they're very silky, drapey, got a cool to the skin touch, and the word elegant definitely got tossed around a lot. If you don't know this about me, I am on a quest to knit with every single yarn there is imaginable, like at least once. So naturally this led me to ask a few questions, like what exactly is bamboo yarn? How is it different from viscose? Is it completely natural, like it sounds? Sustainability questions, as we usually do. And generally, I like to have a look on the internet and see what are the most frequently asked questions when people use that yarn. And more personally, why is there nylon in such a luxurious blend? Today we're going to dive deep into the science, the sustainability, and the real behavior of bamboo merino yarns. At the end of the video, we'll do an official review of the Arlino top, which is now live on my website. Let's begin. What bamboo yarn really is. When most knitters hear the phrase bamboo yarn, we tend to imagine fibers being mechanically extracted from bamboo stalks and spun into yarn in much the same way flax becomes linen. But that is almost never what is happening. Instead, bamboo is first broken down into a pulp. That pulp is chemically dissolved into a thick cellulose solution. The liquid is then forced through microscopic holes called spinnerets. As the liquid emerges, it solidifies into long continuous filaments. Those filaments are washed, spun, and ultimately turned into yarn. This means bamboo yarn is not a raw plant fiber in the same sense as linen or cotton. It's a regenerated cellulose fiber, and that places it in the same family as rayon, viscose, modal, and lyocell. So to be completely accurate, most bamboo yarn is technically bamboo viscose rayon. Say that 3 times quickly. The bamboo is the source material, rayon is the generic fiber category, and viscose is the manufacturing method. Why bamboo feels so silky? The chemical regeneration process transforms rigid plant material into extremely smooth, uniform fibers. Unlike wool, which has natural crimp, or linen, which has a dry, textured hand, bamboo viscose fibers are sleek and fluid. This is why bamboo yarn is often described as silky, cool, slippery, luminous, and drapey. In many ways, it behaves more like a silk or high-end viscose jersey than like a traditional plant fiber. Is bamboo sustainable? This is where things become both complicated and fascinating. Bamboo itself genuinely is very interesting. It grows rapidly, regenerates without needing to be replanted, usually requires very little water than crops like cotton or linen. If we look specifically at the plant, bamboo does come up as like quite a sustainable superstar. But the fibers are not used directly. As discussed, it must first be transformed into rayon, and conventional viscose production requires chemicals such as sodium hydroxide and carbon disulfide, we're going with that. If those chemicals are not recovered responsibly, they can be an environmental and also a occupational concern. So the honest answer is nuanced. Bamboo as a plant is highly renewable. Bamboo viscose can range from relatively responsible to environmentally problematic, depending on how it's handled. In other words, bamboo is not a miracle fiber, but it's also not a scam. It's just a fiber whose true impact depends a lot on the production behind it. And that is yet another moment where the fiber science is not black and white. The yarn I'm using, Wolhobby Merino Breeze, contains 60% Superwash Merino, 25% bamboo, and 15% nylon. This blend is beautifully engineered. Merino contributes elasticity and memory, bamboo contributes drape, softness and sheen, and nylon contributes strength and durability. Together they create a yarn that feels luxurious while remaining practical enough for everyday garments. Next, we're going to go through some rapid fire FAQs. Let's answer the questions knitters most frequently ask about bamboo. Number 1. Does bamboo stretch? Yes. Bamboo has very little elasticity, which means the garment can stretch because of its own weight. I'm going to get into that later when we talk about blocking, because this is relevant when blocking something like the Arlino top. You want to make sure that you're blocking it out horizontally and not letting it hang vertically. 2. Is bamboo sustainable? As covered, the plant is highly renewable, but the process depends entirely on the manufacturer. Yes, if they do it responsibly, no, if they don't. 3, and this was one of my questions, is bamboo the same as viscose? We kind of covered this one earlier. Yes, it is the same thing. Bamboo and viscose are the same thing. It's just describing a different part of the process. Bamboo, rayon, viscose, all the same thing. 4. Why is there nylon in my bamboo yarn? Nylon increases strength and durability to abrasion and just keeps it going a little longer. It would otherwise be potentially a little too delicate. 5. Is it good for summer? Absolutely. It is very cool, very breathable, and very soft against your skin, and just light to wear. 6. Does it pull? It can, especially because of the merino, more likely. It is a very delicate fiber, and that does have a tendency to pull, but like with my blend that I'm busy using, the addition of nylon does reduce that. 7. Will it grow after blocking? Usually yes. You can expect a little bit of increased length. You can definitely expect draping. Yeah, it's gonna loosen up and it's gonna lax up, and again, the way that you block it is gonna really matter. Number 8. Is it similar to silk? Honestly, very much so. I'll show you my other garment later, but the the difference between this Arlino top that I made in the bamboo merino and some garments that I've made in some silk merino blends, I can't really feel the difference. It feels the same. So silky, very shiny, and yeah, just all the same qualities. Sheen, drape. 9. Is it machine washable? Often, yes, if the yarn includes a superwash merino, although I would follow the label instructions, and just my personal experience as someone who used to machine wash her knitted garments, it's generally not a good idea to put something you spend that much time on in a washing machine. 10. What are good things to knit with it? The typical response here is summer tops, shawls, elegant tees, and garments where drape is your superstar. Why merino changes everything. Pure bamboo can become limp and a little unstable. Merino wool introduces natural crimp, which acts like tiny springs throughout the fabric. These springs allow garments to stretch and recover while maintaining some shape. The merino gives the yarn structure, bamboo gives it movement. Together they create balance. Why nylon belongs in luxury yarns. Some knitters are surprised to see nylon in premium brands, but nylon is not there to make yarn cheaper. It is there to make it stronger. Think of nylon as an invisible scaffolding. It quietly reinforces the yarn so the drapey fabric remains durable enough for real life. Blocking. Blocking is where bamboo truly reveals its personality. Before you wash it, the fabric could look like quite a structured garment, and after you block it, you're gonna see all of those stitches relax and ease out almost immediately. I wet soaked my purple Arlino top in the bamboo for about 15 minutes and I removed it, and when I lay it out to dry, I was genuinely surprised by how much it had just dispersed and just blocked out. And after it had dried, the fabric was notably softer and the drape was, how do I describe it? It was very like fabric-like drape. So in the purple sample, which I'll show you again soon, before I blocked it, the ruffles around the neck were quite rolly, quite big and noticeable. And after I blocked it, all of that fell into itself. Most of those ruffles only existed around the immediate neckline, but the rest kind of like fell down into the top, and you could see it moving lower down, which was very interesting. It did grow a little bit. It didn't grow too much, but it definitely grew by, I'd say, maybe 3 to 4 centimeters in every direction. The transformation of bamboo was one of the reasons I was so excited to work with it. The finished fabric becomes extraordinarily fluid and just luxurious. Why this yarn is perfect for the Arlino top. The Arlino top was designed to showcase movement. Its gathered neckline, flowing stockinette, and soft draped silhouette all depend on a fabric that can cascade gracefully. This merino bamboo blend delivered exactly that. The merino supported the shape, the bamboo created fluidity, and the nylon ensures durability. The yarn does not simply support the design, it completed it. And with that, it's finally time to reveal the finished Arlino top. This design has gone through multiple samples, many rounds of blocking, and a great deal of refinement. But seeing it come to life in this yarn has been so rewarding. This gathered neckline, the softness, the fluid drape, it's precisely what I imagined from the very beginning. It's finally time to reveal the pattern. I want to start with this one first because I want to explain to you where I went wrong and where I fixed it with the purple one. So the vision obviously was to have something that gathered around the neck, fell slightly over the shoulders, and then just sort of like moved around your body. But you can see here that there is like a little buckle up here in my neckline. This is because the way that these two pieces here joined created a little bit of additional fabric that just didn't fall properly. That was obstacle number one. Secondly, I felt like this needed to come out more, so I softened the neckline of the second demo. And then thirdly, I felt like the back of the neck just needed to come higher up. The way it falls here on my clavicle bones and the way I feel like my neck is exposed here just didn't feel right, and I didn't really love it. But in all of its glory, sample one of the Arlino top in viscose lino came out not too bad. I'm definitely gonna frog this one and redo the top in the way that I did the other one. And here you can see it in the bamboo merino. You can see the difference that made. I know the other one was black, so you couldn't quite see this detail as clearly, but trust me when I say it was a lot to do with the shaping around the neckline. So what we did here was, first we brought the back up, the back of the neck right up so that it feels more comfortable now. I feel like that's where that's supposed to be. We took away all of that additional fabric that was sitting up here and being bulky and uncomfortable. And then we evened out the neckline so that it sort of just goes out a lot nicer. This is my mic. I needed to show you the top so it couldn't be on me. So that it went out a lot more smoothly. I know that it kind of still looks a little pointed here, but that's just because I've made my neck tension too tight. If I had done it differently, it would be going out perfectly. Like in my mind, when I was designing this top, I pictured ancient civilizations and just the most gorgeous cloth falling everywhere. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something that you could just throw on, feel comfortable. Maybe you're gonna tuck it in, maybe with a little pair of linen pants, linen skirt. Yeah, this has a lot of opportunities. You could put like a cardigan over it and really accentuate that neckline. That could look really good as well. This could look good in a lot of different summer fabrics. It could also look really good in some very drapey winter fabrics like cashmere. Can you imagine that? Yeah, so we're happy. We're making a third one. So yeah, every fiber has its own personality. And when we're thoughtful about yarn, our projects really come to life. Because the yarn is an active contributor to the way the finished garment's gonna look. And with that, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you in the next one. By all means, drop in the comments if you would like me to do a deep dive on a fiber you're curious about. And until next time, see you later. Happy knitting.